Welcome to this video tutorial on an intro to trig ratios. So first thing about trig ratios, we have to have a right triangle in order to do anything. That's absolutely essential. If we don't have a right angle, none of this stuff applies. Then what we did was we looked at our angle that we have that's not 90 degrees. In this case, we look at that 58-degree angle. And we label the sides of the triangle based on that angle. Now the y is pretty hip. It's the hypotenuse across from the right angle. The side across from the 58-degree angle we term the opposite side, and we'll abbreviate as OPP. And the side that's next to the 58-degree angle is what we call the adjacent side, and we'll abbreviate it as ADJ. Once we have those items labeled, we need to remember the mnemonic device to help us with trig ratios, SOHCAHTOA, where the first letter stands for the item, so sine is the opposite over the hypotenuse, cosine is the adjacent over the hypotenuse, and tangent is the opposite divided by the adjacent side. Let's say that we wanted to start off this problem by solving for x. Well, here's the deal. X involves the opposite side, that's the variable, and the number in play is the adjacent side. So we're using the O and the A. The O and the A is tangent that gets involved. So we're going to say the tangent of our 58-degree angle, put the angle there, is equal to the opposite side, which is x, divided by the adjacent side, which is 45. Now we need to solve for x, so what we're really doing is multiplying both sides of that equation by 45 to get the x by itself. And when we do that, we get that x is equal to 45 times the tangent of 58 degrees. I need to see that step, and then you can go to your calculator to figure out what that's equal to. But please be careful with your calculator. Go into mode. Always make sure that the degree is the item highlighted. If not, scroll over, hit enter, and ensure that you are in degree mode. If you're not in degree mode, you will get the wrong answer, so please watch out for that. Now, once you put the calculator in degree mode, it only switches back if the calculator is reset or if you change the batteries on it. So you should be good to go, but please always double check when you start a problem. So now we're going to go to the home screen. Second mode quits us out. And we're going to type 45 times the tangent of 58. Hit enter, and there it is. 72 point, round it to at least 2 decimal places correctly. So we'll say 72.02. That's the answer for x. Now when we go to solve for y, whenever possible, I like to use the number that was provided to solve. So we have the 45, which is the adjacent. We're trying to solve for y, which is the hypotenuse. We've got the adjacent. We want the hypotenuse. We are going to focus on cosine for ca. Now we'll set it up as the cosine of 58 degrees is equal to the adjacent side, which is 45, divided by the hypotenuse, which is y. Now we want the y by itself. So first we need to multiply both sides of our equation by y. And we'll get that y times the cosine of 58 degrees is equal to 45. But we don't want the y with anything next to it. So we have to divide both sides by the cosine of 58 degrees. And y would equal 45 divided by the cosine of 58 degrees. Now we go to our calculator, and please type that in. So it's going to be 45 divided by the cosine of 58, close your parentheses, hit enter, and we're getting 84.92 when we round correctly to 2 decimal places. That would be our other final answer. Now it is true that you could have done that a different way. You could have said, well, I'm going to use the value of x we just had and this value of y, so I'm going to look at opposite and hypotenuse. I'm going to look at sine. You could do that. And you could say, oh, look, the sine of 58 degrees would be equal to the x that we just got, 72.02, divided by y. When you catch on to this, you can just jump to tell me that this would be y equals 72.02 divided by the sine of 58 degrees. And then when we type that into our calculator, 72.02 divided by the sine of 58. Be careful because look, we get 84.9244, a little bit different, but rounded to 2 decimal places the same way. 84.92. It's better to base it off the number you knew before any calculations, just for precision and accuracy's purposes. But we will provide guidelines in class about what to do in lengthier problems where it's impossible to avoid using those rounded numbers. But long story short, this is sine, cosine, and tangent. You follow this path, always refer to SOHCAHTOA, set it up, and solve accordingly.